Well, good morning, everyone. We will be starting in just a moment, waiting for folks to come in on their audio. There are a few folks coming in on audio. We'll give them 10 more seconds and we'll go ahead and get started. Well, welcome everyone. We are so excited that you have joined us today. You are here for Pacific Coast Regional's financial fitness program on how to shop for and interview your bank. We've got California Bank and Trust here with us today, and we are super excited because this is information that all small businesses really do need to know. So we will be able to answer your questions today. If you would please stay on mute, that would be great. But we're happy to have your questions in the chat. We will be having some polls as well. And for those of you that came in and you're nice and early, you will also be able to be eligible for a couple of prizes at the end. So please stick with us as we go forward into the program. And we look forward to hearing your questions and for you to better understand a little bit more about financial fitness. I'm Colette Moore. I'm the director of PCR SBDC. I was a past business owner after 16 years in consumer goods or 16 years of that with Disney, where I was a vice president on the marketing side. But as a small business owner, I was also a client of PCR SBDC. And we understand the needs of small businesses from our advisor perspective. And as a small business owner, I certainly have a soft spot for all of our small businesses that are on with us today. So we're just so happy to have you all on today. For those that are new to PCR and the SBDC has 1,000 centers around the country. So whether it's here in the LA area, there are 9 actually in the LA area, but whether it's here or other parts of the country where you might have friends that might have businesses, our goal is to help build economic development in the communities that we are serving. We're a proud partner with the SBA and then also with the state of California and the Go Biz program. We're providing consulting. Workshops such as these, and all of this is throughout LA County. And we're doing, business planning, whether it's marketing, financial support, and planning as well. And all of those things that will be an asset to the small businesses that we serve. And so we're happy to have you all join today. One of the things that we learned during COVID was that so many of our small businesses needed a lot of help on the financial side and much better understanding of your finances. And so that is kind of the impetus for this program that you are on today. So not only do we have a cohorts program, we're in our third cohort right now. It's a 12-month program where we're providing individual or training on all of your key financial statements, financial analysis as well, to make you more adept at understanding your business needs. And so this all part of our financial planning program. We also have advisors that are specialists. We have past bankers that are on our team. We have past accountant specialists, and they can help you along the way, setting up your QuickBooks and helping you with your financial planning and your projections for your business. So we also are doing these financial webinars for the last year or so. We have been ticking off. So we've done Access to Capital, which we'll continue to do. Last 2 months ago or 3 months ago, we did our first workshop with CBT, California Bank and Trust, where we did the credit. And that was very, very helpful information for all of those on how your personal finances impact your business finances. That was part of it. We'll be doing financial and accounting systems, selecting a bank, and also your own financial projections. Financial projections are critical for your business health. So one of the things that we were asking today is, why should you interview your bank? The focus of this presentation is about interviewing and selecting a bank. And so your bank is a critical partner for your business. It's like one of the biggest relationships that you will have. And when you think about it, when you all may hire employees for your business, how many of you have ever hired an employee without some form of an interview? I don't think anybody on this call has hired people sight unseen. You will hire and you will interview. And the same thing for your banking relationship and this partnership. It's such a critical partnership, and it can matter to you and your business and your employees, whether it's cash flow, how to be more efficient, there's services that are available, and then how does it impact your bottom line. Then the other thing is, like, part of this interview is making sure that it's a good fit. So, as an employee, you want to make sure that it's a good fit, and you're looking at the most important needs that you have to fill. So, an employee may not fill every need, same thing with a bank, but there are some key needs that you and your business will need. And so, those are the things that you're going to assess. And so, we're happy to have this team today to share that with you. Now, before we start, we have a poll for everyone. So get ready. The poll is about to be launched. And this poll says, how would you rate your relationship with your bank? Don't have a business bank? Maybe you don't have a relationship, or you have a poor relationship. Maybe you consider yourself an average relationship, and this presentation can assist you, or you have an excellent relationship with your bank. So please take a moment to do this poll. And we're just going to take a couple of seconds while the music is playing, and would love to get your insights. A few more, 10 seconds for those of you on the poll or that can do this poll. Please take a moment. Okay. All right. So we're going to end the polling now, and you can see the results there. So some of you don't have a business bank, so perfect time for you to get that. A poor relationship, average relationship, and one excellent relationship. So that's great to know, because we would like for all of our clients to have excellent business banking relationships. That is our goal here. And so this information is going to be very helpful for you to be able to have those great relationships. So thank you all for sharing the results. I was hoping that you all saw that. So we're going to stop sharing those results now. All right. And so let's go to our presenters for the day. We won't go through all of the descriptions. They're going to do that as part of today's presentation. But we have Lisa Brooks, Gregory Glover, Cynthia Chambers, Wayne Ward, Lou Mures, and Tracy Chen. And we have 6 powerful presenters that are going to be able to share with you insights about banking. And we hope that you will use them wisely and use the insights that you gain wisely. Please put your questions into the chat as the conversation goes on, and we have plenty of time to be able to answer those questions today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa Brooks, and Lisa's going to do an introduction of our California Bank and Trust team.
Good morning.
You're
I'm
welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to give you a little background on California Bank and Trust. And for more than 60 years, California Bank and Trust has provided financial guidance to Californians. We are a commercial business bank, and we are a division of Zions Bancorp, which operates 8 other divisions throughout 11 Western states. And I work in the Community Development Finance Division of California Bank and Trust, and I am the Community Development Liaison. And my job was actually created because of the Community Reinvestment Act, which was an act by Congress back in 1977 to ensure that banks meet the needs of the communities that they serve, with a special emphasis on low and moderate income communities. Part of California Bank and Trust, we have diversity and inclusion groups, diversity, equity, and inclusion groups, DEI. And one of the groups is the African Americans in Banking. And I chair that group along with Wayne Ward, who you'll hear from later. And one of our goals through the group was to make sure that we as a group educated small business owners on access to capital and lending. And today, through our presentation, we're fulfilling one of our goals, and that is to give you information on how to shop for and interview a bank. So you were all given or had the opportunity to ask questions of your counselors there at PCR, and those questions will be incorporated into our presentation today. So we'll start with introducing our presenters. Our first presenter, well, we're not in order, but overall, we're going to start with Wayne Ward, and he is a Senior Vice President and Regional Manager in the West Los Angeles region of California Bank and Trust, and he offices in our Culver City office. And that is a photo of Wayne and his contact information. Lou Merez is a first vice president, and he is the business center manager of our Culver City office. Lou also has a long history with Pacific Coast Regional on the loan committee there. So Lou, basically, he knows the banking side and he knows the loan side, and he has also been very active with Pacific Coast Regional. Gregory Glover. Greg is a first vice president and a business center manager in our Oxnard office. Tracy Chin is vice president and a relationship banker in our Santa Monica office. And last but not least, we have Cynthia Chambers, who's a vice president, and she is a treasury management sales consultant, and she's out of our Pasadena office. So these are our presenters. We hope you learn a lot today. And now I'll turn it over to Wayne Ward.
And Wayne, you are muted. If you could unmute your line. Thank you.
Thank you, Colette. Can you hear me now? Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Lisa, for that introduction. And so happy to be here with everyone. Good morning, Pacific Coast Regional. So I have the opportunity to kick this off with a very broad question. And it says here, the value of being a California Bank and Trust customer. And so that first bullet point basically states, why would I use California Bank and Trust and not the bank across the street? Well, let's talk about the bank across the street first. So most of you know that banks across the street represent branches of some of the largest banks in the country. You know their names, so I don't have to mention them. There is a saying that there is a bank branch on every corner. But some of you might find that level of convenience to be a competitive advantage against a bank like California Bank and Trust, where we may not have a bank branch on every corner. But just like 7-Eleven, convenience may not always be the best, and sometimes it can be more expensive. And when I say more expensive, I'm not talking about pricing, where branches on every corner may have lower prices. I'm talking about experience and capability. That's the price that you pay for going to the banks on every corner, and I'll explain that. So think about it. When most of you go to your corner bank, you may have to wait 30 minutes to an hour to reach the teller line. And that was before the pandemic. You may have to wait 30 minutes to just get inside the branch, where the lines start to form outside even before the branch opens. Once you get inside, the bank on every corner, most of the branches can only offer you very limited products and services because of the capability of the bankers that work for these banks on every corner. See, these are the banks that we call retail. A retail bank can only handle consumer loans and those commercial loans up to 250,000. Again, commercial loans up to 250,000. You see, I know this for a fact because many of the branch managers at these other large banks on every corner who apply to become a branch manager at California Bank and Trust tell me time and time again that their capability to do loans only goes up to 250,000. California Bank and Trust is a commercial bank. See, a commercial bank is a bank that primarily serves business customers, small business owners like you, from revenue sizes of 100,000 to as much as $20 million per year. You see, we call that segment micro business and small business. See, we can handle both. So when you walk into a typical branch at California Bank and Trust, you will walk right in and go straight to the teller window. There are no lines waiting outside or inside. So most of our customers are businesses. So that's why we don't need a branch on every corner. You see, business owners don't have time to come to the bank. They have adopted the use of technology and use it all day long. Our Treasury Management Officer will speak about our systems and technology next. So let's talk about what happens when you walk into the California Bank and Trust branch and ask to speak to a branch manager. That branch manager at California Bank and Trust typically has 10 to 20 years of commercial banking experience. They are used to talking to small business owners about their business operation and financial operations, people like you. They talk your language. They know what keeps you up at night, worrying about markets, customers, marketing, and the competition to get skilled workers. These branch managers can process and make loans up to $10 million or more. I'll say that again, up to $10 million or more. They don't have to hand you off to a business banking team that the other banks on every corner use to process and make the same types of loans that we do. So the manager or the relationship manager that you speak to will be the relationship manager that handles your relationship. We come visit you at your office. We will make an appointment to talk about your business and stay with you from start to eventually, if you decide to sell your business or hand it off to the next generation. So that's our competitive advantage that we have, and that is the main reason why you would want to use California Bank and Trust and not the bank across the street. So now I would like to introduce you to Vice President and Treasury Management Sales Consultant, Cynthia Chambers, who will talk to you about Treasury Management. Cynthia?
Thank you, Wayne, for the introduction. And I am so excited. Good morning, Pacific Coast Regional. So excited to be able to present with you today and share our information with you. First of all, I just, want to say that, what is Treasury Management? That's the specialist, the name. Some of you who may have been around a moment or two, or some of the other banks still refer to as cash management. If you know it by that name, they're synonymous. Now, with Treasury Management or cash management, the simplistic way for me to try to give some explanation of that is that our goal with the technology that Wayne referred to is to assist your businesses in speeding up their collections. I know that's a high priority, slowing down your payables. And then, and I know that's something that would be a treat to be able to do, and also to manage your information as well, and maybe even consider, investments. And with that being said, I know that you're going to put up the next screen, Colette, just so they can have this. I just wanted to let you know that there will be a handout. This is just a snippet of the information that I'm getting ready to share, but Pacific Coast Regional is going to provide that handout for you. As your business grows, you need be efficient, you need smart money management solutions. You may achieve greater operating efficiency with services that automate your payables and receivables. And you can optimize your working capital and also reduce risk and fraud. That's very important these days. Um, so you can easily add services, because some of these are several services. I mean, they're all customized according to the needs of your company. There could be, I can say 40 plus, and it just keeps growing. Every day the technology grows, so does the capabilities to manage your business. So as your business expands, you may start with some of the services, one of the services, and according to your growth, be able to expand according to your evolving money management needs, business needs. So one of the things that I was talking about was your collection. So that's, we consider the money in your receivable solutions. And this is just a highlight, overall highlight of this, some of those. You can accept card payments for in-person and online transactions, depending on the type of business that you have. You could save time by reducing the numbers of trips to your local branch for deposits. I've had it mentioned recently that, that's also helping the footprint of our planet by being able to have to go to run to the branches all the time for making deposits. And it definitely is convenient for you to be able to make those deposits right from your office. It's a great solution for you in time for you and your staff. Now, another thing that you're able to do as far as receivables is take electronic debits from your customers' accounts. So I know that some of you may be as consumers and a business. I refer to that as allowing maybe your mortgage company or just any other car company or whatever to debit your account. Well, you as a business owner can have that capability as well. Some of your gym memberships, I know we're not doing that right now. Some of us are beginning to, but those are the types of things that you'll be able to do with your receivables and make it efficient to get right into your bank accounts. There's all types of options for that. And the other portion of this would be, your money that's going out, your payable solutions. So with that, there's also a more electronic and automated payment options to simplify your work. So I know during the pandemic, all of a sudden, we're talking, just like we're talking to you, we speak ongoingly with our clients, and some of these solutions, they didn't think they were as immediately needed. But I can tell you by the pandemic was March, by April, we were getting calls saying, I need to be able to handle my payroll. I need to be able, without writing checks. So that's just one of the options that we were getting calls about as far as handling these payable solutions. So, to be handled, to direct deposit electronically into their accounts. So they've streamlined with the payroll and the vendor payments as well. So, you're paying, sometimes the vendors will even give you some considerations or discounts if you can negotiate with them because they're getting paid faster. So that's just something to consider, the different solutions for that. And then I mentioned the money management portion of it. And that's, for information for you and also for fraud prevention. So being able to view your banking activity online, anytime, anywhere your business operates, will assist you with monitoring and reducing payment fraud. So we have different services that will also enhance that capability and automate some of that. But in the minimum, I just want to leave this by saying, at the minimum, look at your accounts daily. It's just the world we live in. And now I will pass it over to Lou. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Great to be here and be part of this process. So we're starting with a really good question. What does your bank do to help startup businesses? That's probably the number one question we get from new and emerging businesses. So I'm gonna give you guys the honest answer and then temper it a little bit with what is realistic. And honestly, as a brand new or startup business, most banks are probably not going to give you guys a whole lot of love. It's not that we don't care. It's not that we're bad people. Bank business model is very busy, just like all of you are. Our priorities are principally, towards existing businesses, and that's just the amount of time in the day and kind of where the opportunities are. But having said that, I would answer this question kind of by turning it around, kind of the squeaky wheel type thing. I think there are help from banks, even as a new business, but the onus is kind of on you to ask and to nudge. And you guys have all had great courage starting businesses, and you weren't ashamed to ask for help. And working with the bank is the same thing. If you're a little bit of a pest, people like me kind of respect that. It definitely shows your passion and your unwavering, desire to move your business forward. So turn it around, engage your bank and your banker. There are definitely things that you can expect as a new business that are realistic. Referrals to programs and resources, banks have that information, even if they can't loan to you as a new business. They know kind of what's out there. Definitely, you should ask for a clear articulation of what criteria you need to meet to become eligible for credit, how long you need to be in business, what sort of benchmarks you need to make. And certainly meeting with a banker, even if you're new, just to have a checkup and get some direction, that's absolutely something to ask for. All banks do have resources, even if they're not readily apparent. They have newsletters, usually good information on their website, and educational events like this. So definitely, poke around, see what's there. The best resources, and all of you guys are great attending today, are the SBDCs. They're set up to really nurture new and emerging businesses. SBA's got great programs like the SCORE program with retired executives. So that's where you're going to get, most of the love and support initially, and then it's a gradual process to integrate into the bank and, build your credit. But, we're busy, but ask us, that's kind of my mission. Or I'm sorry, that's my advice. In any event, with that, let me introduce Greg, who will take the next couple of questions.
Thank you, Lou. I appreciate it and excited to be here. And first off, my congratulations for all the wonderful work that Colette and the PCR team does in assisting small businesses with their financial, educational, and consulting services. It's an honor to be here. So with that, what products work best to help build my credit? That's a very specific question. I can give you a very specific answer. And then I might turn the question a little bit as well. But credit cards, personal credit cards, business credit cards, personal secured credit cards, business secured credit cards, overdraft lines, mortgages. Basically, that's all help building your credit. But if you add a word to that question, credit score, that's when it becomes things that really are much more in your control. And your banker should help advise some of the things you should do, such as never make a late payment, decrease your credit utilization, increase your credit limits, get a balance transfer credit card for a peer-to-peer loan, or use old credit cards so they don't close. Get a secured credit card, and check your credit reports for errors and remove them. There's tons of information. First place I always go for anything pretty much is I Google it. But your bank will also help point you in the right direction and be able to take that on and help assist you with that. So what is the Small Business Diversity Banking Program at California Bank and Trust? And there's a very specific answer here. As a component to our Bancorp diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy, the bank now offers a special purpose credit program called the Small Business Diversity Banking Program. This program is to address the access of capital needs of women, minority, and veteran-owned businesses. We are committed to supporting underserved communities and ensuring that business loans are made available to business owners of all backgrounds with a special purpose credit program under the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. The Small Business Diversity Banking Program is designed to empower women, minorities, and veterans-owned businesses by increasing the credit and financing they need to grow and thrive. As a banker at California Bank and Trust, we understand the needs of our clients, and that's the most important driver to our success. The Small Business Diversity Banking Program expands the credit criteria for your application if additional support is needed. We want to provide every option possible for your loan approval. Your application will be evaluated against conventional, SBA, and the Small Business Diversity Banking Program underwriting guidelines. To take advantage of this opportunity, we will help you complete the Small Business Diversity Banking Program eligibility document. This must be submitted along with the business application. Completing the certification document is your self-certification that you meet the requirements for the program eligibility. The program is designed for women, minority, and veteran-owned small businesses where more than 50% of the ownership or control of which is held by a woman, minority, or veteran. And for clarification purposes, this program defines minorities as Black or African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, American Indian, or Alaskan Native, or Native Hawaiian, or other Pacific Islanders. If you identify as a minority, you must select the primary race and/or ethnicity that demonstrates the program's eligibility. As a veteran, any person who served in the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, or National Guard, including any member of the reserve components of the foregoing services, and was discharged or released from the service under conditions other than dishonorable, would qualify. Owner of veteran-owned businesses will be required to provide a DD-21 form verification. Additional criteria is the business must be located in California and the gross annual revenue cannot exceed $10 million. This product is for short and long-term financing, owner-occupied real estate, long-term fixed asset financing, business term loans, and lines of credit. So to recap this in 4 quick points, number 1, the Small Business Diversity Program adjusts our credit policy and our underwriting guidelines to expand the credit criteria considered when reviewing your loan request. Number 2, your loan request will be evaluated against conventional loan policy, the Diversity Banking Program expanded policy, and SBA policy as appropriate. Number 3, to take advantage of this opportunity, you will complete the Small Business Diversity Banking Program eligibility document included in the business loan application. Completing this certification document is your self-certification that you meet the definition of program eligibility. In order to be considered a complete application, this form must be completed even if preferred not to disclose is marked. This ensured consistency in the application process and ensures applicants are made aware of the potential opportunity to self-certify. And number 4, to qualify for this program, the applicant must be a woman-owned business, a minority-owned business, or a veteran-owned business. And that's it for the Small Banking Diversity Program. In our next slide, we're going to discuss the entire relationship but we have a couple of credit questions below first. So I'm going to turn this back over to Lou. And in approaching lending to clients with historical profitability, but a loss in 2020.
Thank you very much, Greg. I'll kind of attack these two questions. They kind of go together with regard to businesses that have had a COVID impact. So the answer is very much a yes. This is something that we deal with every day. It's sort of a qualified yes. There is a reasonable path to doing things if your business has been historically successful, had an interruption, and you can show that you're very much back on track. The key here is you need to be very clear and thoughtful in explaining your story to us. And if you can do that, we can absolutely rely both on how you did pre-2020, before the pandemic, as well as reasonable projections going forward. The key to projections is not so much the projection itself, but it's the underlying assumptions that you use to develop those projections. So really, what we're looking at the most is a very clear narrative on how you support the assumptions in your projection. So that's really where the time investment on your part needs to go to be prepared. Definitely in this situation, we would recommend that you be proactive with your bank. Don't wait for the bank to ask you why you had a bad year and see if you'll get some special consideration and ask for projections. Come straight forward, and when you discuss a request with your banker, have this information ready, and that'll really show us that you're very, very serious and very well prepared in a case like this. What are the questions that you'll be asked in a case like this? You'll be asked, what sort of assistance did you receive during the pandemic? Did you have any deferrals? And, are those done now? How are you doing? You'll be asked if you did receive help from the PPP program. If you did, have you been forgiven already? Or are you in the process, and can you demonstrate you likely will be forgiven? If you can be, then we will not consider that as a debt for analysis purposes. So that's really important. We'll want to know kind of how your business and your industry changed, and what adjustments you've made, and just in general, kind of what you've learned from the whole situation and how you're better prepared going forward to deal with any contingency. So to kind of sum up, these are very possible. We're dealing with them every day, but get ahead of it and be prepared. So with that, let's move to Tracy and the next slide. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tracy with California Bank and Trust, and today I'm going to walk you through some resources that may be available for startup financing. We're also going to talk about simple steps that you can take to make transition to the bank that actually support your growth. Next slide, please. So first, let's take a look at seed money. Typically, startup companies would really need to rely on non-traditional financing sources during the first 12 months. This is especially true if you're really just starting up. So what are some of the sources of financing? First will be private lenders. This typically will be the most expensive option. The second option will be investors who may ask for equity stake within your company in exchange. The third option will be your family and friends, and this should be the least expensive option. Lastly, crowdfunding is available if you're in a tech-related project or if you have some type of innovative ideas that are at the pre-production stage. So what are available during your first year of operation? Usually, during this period of time, you will still need to rely on some sort of potential outside financing that could come from CDFI, nonprofit organizations such as PCA. They may have state or other government-backed programs that are available to assist you, private lenders, equity investors, family and friends. And the reason for this is a lot of times, startup companies are not profitable yet during the first 12 to 24 months. So what can you do during this period of time? And where could you seek help? First, I will highly recommend you to focus on growth and profitability. This is a good time for you to make adjustments in your marketing strategy as well as your business models as needed. Nonprofit organizations such as PCA may have workshops or business plans, market research, projection, and forecast that you can take to help you be prepared for upcoming financing once you're in operation for at least 2 years. So what are available during your second year? Potential bank financing that are available include working capital loans through SBA 7A. This is applicable to most small businesses. The second option will be contract-based financing through factoring. This is generally available for manufacturers and wholesalers. And through this, what banks typically do is they would take your invoice or a large contract and finance against that particular contract. They will give you the money in advance so that you could keep your operation ongoing. So what are some prerequisites to get financing during this period of time? Well, your company will need to be growing. It will need to be at least break even or starting to show profit. What can you expect during this period of time, and what would you need to prepare for? You will need a well-written business plan with market research, SWOT analysis, and realistic projection, along with detailed explanation of your business models and demonstration of your expertise in the industry. As a business owner, you would also need to demonstrate additional support outside of the business. And with this, we're referring to liquid assets, other sources of income. Third, banks would typically seek some type of outside collateral. It may be a lien against your house or a lien against some type of equipment. Lastly, you should expect if you have any type of existing debt with, for example, a private lender, they would most likely need to be refinanced through SBA into a term loan. And the reason for this is to improve your cash flow. Are there any exception to this? Yes, there are exceptions to financing. And I could give you an example. We work with companies that are rapidly growing during its first and second year. If you could demonstrate that your company is growing rapidly and is profitable, your net profit is able to service the proposed repayment of loan, then there is always exception, and we may be able to finance you, even if you're under 2 years old. So now let's take a look at some simple steps that you could take to make transition to a bank that can actually support your growth. First, as Clay and Lou mentioned earlier, you will want to interview your bank. So reserve the time to meet with the bankers, associates, and specialists. They may have other resources that will help you to improve your cash flow, your bottom line, and your collection process. The second thing you will want to do is to set up your accounts and services with the chosen bank as early as possible. And the reason for this is typically you would need at least 90 days for transitioning. With that, I'm referring to, for example, checks, outstanding checks to clear your existing bank accounts. You would also need to notify your vendors, suppliers, as well as your customers if you're making any changes to, for example, your collection process, merchant services, ACH, and wire transfer. Now I'm going to turn it over to Wayne, who's going to talk about some top questions that you may want to ask your bankers.
Thank you, Tracy. And so let's play Ask Your Banker, and I'll be the customer, and I'm going to ask each of you a number of questions that a customer would typically ask you. And please be honest with your answers. So Lou, I'll start with you. What types of loans do you make for businesses my size and the type of business.
So as we kind of talked about before, one of the unique things in our bank is we really are open to pretty much every industry, every business type and size. We really deal with the gambit here. There are certain things that we don't get into, and we certainly, you never want to take someone down a dark road. So if it's something we have a prohibition on, we're going to tell you about. But we got a pretty wide sweet spot in terms of size, types of loans. So I think that's definitely, one of the things we have to offer here.
Thank you, Lou. So let's say that I've made a decision to bank with California Bank and Trust. Do I get assigned a relationship banker? And what does that mean? Tracy, I'll ask you that question.
Sure. If you're assigned to me, I typically will walk you through all the things that you will want to know about California Bank and Trust. I will also take a look at your bank statements, your tax returns, your financial information, and talk to you, to interview you, and identify the areas that I could further assist you. I typically help my clients. My objective is really to walk with you and grow with you for many years to come. As a banker, I'm not saying that all bankers are open to this, but if I am your banker, you are free to text me anytime, Monday through Saturdays, and I typically are ready to assist you and provide the information that you need right away. If not within 30 minutes, it will always be within a few hours.
Thank you, Tracy. So Greg, my question to you is this. Are you equipped to handle both personal and business needs?
The answer is absolutely yes. We're a commercial bank, but we also have personal services as well. And it's to the benefit of the business owner to discuss the entire relationship and have a personal and business relationship at the same location. Remember, when you come to us as a business owner and you're looking for some help, possibly lending or something, the first thing the banker does is look at the entire relationship. So you can help leverage your business by having personal relationships there, a family relationship there, and more. So remember, personal relationships, just your checking and your savings account, first mortgages, credit cards, wealth management, equity lines of credit. And then of course your business relationships, just the business checking and savings, credit cards, lines of credit, but you might get into merchant services, you might get into payroll. All of that adds up into a relationship. And that's what really a banker wants from you, is a relationship. So we're able to do personal and business. I definitely would do both and have the family bank there as well, because your relationship banker is going to be able to handle both. The idea is to help grow your business, and when you decide to sell your business, to manage those funds as well. So we do both, and we'd like both.
Thank you, Greg. Lou, I was going to ask you, what types of industries would my relationship banker handle?
Great question, Wayne. And I think we talked about that a little bit. And, every bank kind of has their areas of specialization. So I think it's really important to find a bank where they're comfortable and experienced in the type of industry you're in. But certainly here, we, do have a few type of things that we don't get into. And if you're in one of those, we're going to tell you. But, pretty much every industry and type of business is something that's open. And while not every banker may have experience in every area, we do very much work in teams and back each other up. So if somebody comes along in an industry we're not familiar with, there's probably somebody on our team that we can reach out to and get that experience to help that particular client.
Thanks, Lou. Great answer. So my next question for Tracy is this. Next page. And that would be the first question. How often will you come and visit my business on an annual basis?
Uh, for most of the small business clients that I work with, I actually visit them more than once during the year. Typically, I would reach out to the customer, and because of COVID-19, we're utilizing video conference calls more often than before. I would typically touch base with the client at least quarterly, if not monthly, to see, how they're doing and where they stand, and whether if there's anything that they may need assistance with. This is particularly true during the past 12 months because of COVID-19. And the reason we do that is because we want to make sure that our clients are, receive as much resources and help as possible. We want them to really flourish during the pandemic or after the pandemic.
Thank you, Tracy. Greg, question for you. What events or platforms does your bank have for education and networking with other business owners who have challenges like mine?
That's a great question, Wayne. Thank you. An event like this, those are the kind of events and platforms that we do in helping education. Most of our community managers are involved in the community. We're all on boards. We all participate. As we talked about Lou earlier, he's on the loan committee for PCR, and I'm on a board out here for the Economic Development Collaborative for low-income housing. We all get involved and we all talk, and we're all explaining what we have to offer and there to help. As a banker, the next word you would say is really a helper, to help bridge that business or that individual to where they want to go. And so we belong to groups and other entities that bring information to you. So very proud of it, and very, like I said, it's something that you have to be passionate about, and that's something that I think myself and my colleagues at California Bank & Trust are very passionate.
Thank you, Greg. Lou, I'm going to ask you this question because it came up quite a bit during the PPP process, and a lot of customers of other banks actually came to California Bank & Trust for help. So my question to you is your bank financially sound, and will it be a steady partner in both good and bad times?
That's a really great question, and I think a lot of new borrowers and people we met through the PPP process asked that question, and it's kind of a question that tends to come up in bad times, and up until recently we were in pretty good times, so it didn't get asked that a lot. But that's something really important. We obviously take pride here, and while we're a pretty conservative bank, we're very financially sound. Not some banks tend to be up and down, in and out of the market based on conditions, and I think one of our things here is we're very much a steady Eddie, but you never want to be in a position as a client where your bank's problems can be bigger than your own problems. You need a really steady business partner, and that we're heading into some very uncertain times. Who knows? So that's a really valid things to ask. There are different rating services and things you could look at, and government stress tests and things to see how your bank is, particularly with smaller banks. It's a little harder to know. That's probably a more important question with independent banks. They can be a little more volatile. Those banks tend to take a little more risk. But in interviewing a bank, bank wants to know about your finances. You have every right to ask about theirs too, and that's a really good question to ask as we move into the future.
Thanks, Lou. So Colette, we have 3 questions left on the next page, and I get a chance to ask each of them one question each before we conclude this presentation. So Tracy, I'll start with you. How will you review my relationship annually, and what will you need from me?
When I first start with the relationship with a new customer, the first thing I typically do is ask them for 3-year tax returns if they're in operation for at least 3 years. I would have a face-to-face meeting through either a video conference or in-person meeting to go over their current needs, business, under the business and under the personal side. I typically like to look at things holistically, and we would do a review, a full review of everything. Then typically within 7 to 10 days, I would come up with a proposal, and then we can go over what areas that I think that could use some help to improve either your cash flow, your bottom line, or your overall operation. So that's typically where I start.
Thanks, Tracy. Greg, your last question. So how can I best reach you if there is an emergency?
Easy. I'm out there. First of all, my cell number is always available to my clients as well as my office line, but I'm also available on social media. I'm available on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, there's also a couple of boards that I'm on. You can always reach those organizations and reach me. The thing about us is we don't hide from people. We actually make ourselves available. And so the whole idea is to making sure that we have access to your office line, your cell number, and even then, for some reason, if there was an emergency, you can always call the office. They can always get a hold of me. So as Tracy mentioned earlier in hers, we make ourselves available because we want to be there to help. And that's the honest, true, real, straight answer.
Thanks, Greg. And so Lou, the final question is for you, and it's pretty often comes up on a regular basis, and it's a pretty tough question, so I'll ask you. So what happens if my account actually gets overdrawn? What will you do?
Well, that's a great question, and yeah, obviously mistakes happen, and people do get overdrawn, and nobody wants to be embarrassed with a supplier or anything like that. We can't guarantee you that we're going to pay a large overdraft, particularly if you don't have an immediate way to cover it. But we can promise to, we call people every day, and that's sort of part of the relationship approach. And one of the things to think about, and it really goes to the larger level of communication and trust and back and forth in the relationship. Will your bank and your banker let you know when something goes wrong, like an unexpected overdraft, and give you the opportunity to cure it? Typically in a large bank setting, they're not set up for that type of thing. So you'll have to watch your online banking, and if you don't know about it, there's checks probably going to get, returned. We all know the kind of fiascos those can lead to. So you definitely want a banker that, nobody's going to promise you what they can and can't do with an overdraft, but at least that they'll get to you timely in the morning, let you know, and give you the opportunity to hopefully cure it, before the deadline.
Thanks, Lou. Great answer. So Colette, final thoughts, and I'll turn it over to Lisa for some final thoughts as well. But as you can see here, and what we've been talking about for the last hour or so, is that establishing a full banking relationship is better than a transaction. Again, it depends on getting to know you, and for you to get to know us. So get to know your banker and tell your banker about you, and be transparent, and open up your books and records and tell us everything up front so there's no surprises down the road. Because oftentimes when things go sideways, it's because there were things that we were not told in the beginning, and we should have been told that from day one, so we can help explain some of the situations that you may have. So again, get to know your banker and tell your bank everything about you. And as you can see, we are here for you as a resource. Lisa, any final thoughts and things on your end?
Just really want to thank Pacific Coast Regional for the opportunity, and we welcome any questions that they have at this time.
Great. Thank you all so much. I love those questions. And that last question about the overdraw, you never think it's going to happen to you till it does. And you've double paid your taxes by accident. And now everything has gone haywire. It's happened. So thank you for that, Lou, and sharing how you try to work with your clients in those challenging situations, and for the whole team for sharing that. So you guys, it is opportunity for questions. I didn't see any, and maybe because of the way we formatted it with the questions, there was one here. Jesus Cobb Phillips asked, may this form be shared after the meeting? I think that was the form that Greg was referring to for the diversity program. If you have a link to that, if one of you can drop that into the chat, that would be great. And that will be part of this recording as well. And so please put your questions into the chat. We will go forward and move forward. But thank you all so much. It was a great presentation. And I wish I had known a little bit more about the some of these questions on how to interview your bank, and some of the questions to ask as you are going along the way. And people have an opportunity to do that. One of the things I know, Wayne, you did mention when we were preparing is be careful not to shop your rate just or your bank just on rates. Can someone speak to that? That was something that came up. Don't just, maybe, I think maybe someone mentioned that, where you're just looking at rates only, and how that can maybe take you in the wrong direction when you're looking for a relationship.
Lou, you want to
Um,
tackle that one?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's, it's easy, I mean, to some extent, banking has become kind of a commodity, and we understand that, many people will think, wow, most banks are pretty much the same. Let's just look at rates and fees. But really, I mean, most banks are pretty similar. There's limited room for some negotiations, but it really gets to the heart of some of the things you said, Wayne. Really, there is no, particularly when you're in kind of a narrow range, there is no price or limit on the value of a relationship and communication, and that's far beneficial over many years to a small business. So, and if you have a good relationship, you're going to be priced fairly, and you're going to have the ability to ask for things as you build the relationship. So really, an initial focus on price kind of sends the message to the bank that, that's really, that you really don't, just like you want us to care about the relationship and do some special things, it shows us that you're just looking for kind of the low price leader. So really, if you lead with, just like we should ask you questions and get to know you and not look at you as a number or a price. When you initially interview the bank, the focus should really be on, can I have a long-term relationship with this bank and establish personal rapport with my banker, and let the pricing and the other details kind of follow. But it's a long-term relationship, and just like, you probably don't want to be the low price leader to your clients. You want value, and you want something that endures. Your banking relationship is the same that way as any client relationship or any other professional, like a doctor, lawyer, or accountant that you might work with.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. I know Wayne had spoken to that, so thank you. I just wanted to add that again. All right. So, and then Lisa has just put in the diversity lending program is in a PDF format. So we will get that to anyone that sends us an email. If you can send an email to that info@pcr sbdc.org. That'll be great. And our team will make sure to get that document to you as well. And for all of those that are on the call today, you will get that in addition to the recording. So we actually have some prizes today. And one prize is a financial intelligence a book by Karen Berman and Joe Knight, Manager's Guide to Knowing What the Numbers Really Mean. This is all part of us boosting your financial fitness. So our clients are going to be financially fit. Y'all are going to be tough, strong, be able to weather any kinds of storms, and getting help from great banking relationships that we have at PCR as well, with banks like CBT. So we have that book, and then we also have a basket from CBT joining us today that we will get out to you. So give me 1 second, and we are going to spin the wheel and see what we get. And China, and this is for anyone that joined before, I think, like the 35 or 45-minute mark. So we have these two prizes. Let's click to spin. And let's see who we have here. Our first winner is Galaxy Note 5. Oh, I don't So Galaxy Note 5, if you would please put your name, let us know who you are, and your email in, and we'll make sure to get you that book on financial intelligence. And then we will spin again for this basket. And a thank you to our team, China and Briogeny, who are working behind the scenes to do things like this, the spinning wheel. All right, our next winner is, Latoya Jackson. All right, Latoya. So congratulations, and happy that you are the winner of that great basket offered by California Bank and Trust. Got a lot of nice goodies in that for you or to share with others. So thank you all so much for that. Then we also have some handouts. We are going to put into the chat now. Briogeny or China will put this in. There's a handout that Tracy has put together on startup financing and transitioning. And then we also have another handout on treasury management. So we will send that out when we send out this link to you as well. And Cynthia has provided that. And within, we are also doing a presentation on treasury management with California Bank and Trust, and that's going to be in October. So make sure that you guys understand the services that are available to you to help you long term to be more efficient, help you with your operations, in addition to the funding side. There are so many resources that the banks like CBT have that can assist you along the way, and how to manage your business even more effectively. And don't we want that? Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, we want every business here to be more sustainable than you were last year, and even the year before that. So we want you to be sustainable and create generational wealth that you can use for generations to come, or for that vacation, but you got to make it to use it. So we want you all to make it. And so please join us for this next presentation that we have. Then we have some upcoming SBDC resource webinars coming up. From a new client orientation, there's one today, disaster loan workshop. It's not new, but many of you still may not have gotten your EIDL or have done your PPP forgiveness. These two presentations on disaster loan and PPP forgiveness are critical, and we are continuing to track grants as well, available grants, discipline entrepreneurship, 24 steps for a successful startup, and then commercial leasing. If any of you are going back into a commercial lease, restarting your a lease, now is the time to get help to make sure that you have reviewed that properly, and that you're getting the information and what you need for your business. After you sign the lease, it's too late. So get the help before you sign the lease. We saw that during the pandemic. It's too late after that, and it's very hard to maneuver or make any changes or get any help. Then there's also Prevent Theft in the Workplace for Restaurant Academy. This may be helpful not just for restaurants, but also to any retailers as well. How can you minimize theft for your business? All right. And we have every Friday is Financial Fitness Friday at PCR and our SBDC. So we get comments and insights from our bankers that are joining us today, also from our advisors. This one is from Joseph Duncan, our PCR business advisor, and he's also a past banker. And he says financial tracking is critical for any business. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. You all are able, you are highly capable to know your numbers, but as a small business owner, you may need some help. So get the help that you need, know your numbers so that you can be highly sustainable going into the future. I don't see any additional questions today. And let me check. I don't see any more. So I want to thank our speakers today. Thank you all. Lisa Brooks has been helping us to coordinate these workshops, and so we're so appreciative. Thank you, Wayne and Cynthia, Lou, Tracy, and Greg for all of your work and all of your insights and providing really great insights on questions to ask and what to expect from a banking relationship for new and startup businesses. So really appreciate that. Want to thank our advising team that works in the background to consult with our businesses every day. Information for those that don't have an advisor, please get an advisor. If your advisor is not a financial specialist, we can get you to a financial specialist to assist you with loan packaging projections as well, and telling your story in numbers. That is what the bankers talked about. Tell your story in your numbers. And then finally, I just want to thank our team, China Sparks, Briogeny Sanders, and RJ Barnes, who work behind the scenes to put all of this information together, notify everyone, and to make sure that our programs are able to go forward. And then all of our sponsors. So thank you. California Bank and Trust for being with us again. We appreciate your partnership. Lou, thanks for staying on with PCR for so many years on that loan committee. We certainly appreciate all of your help continuing to do that for us. And with that, I don't see any additional questions. You will receive a copy of this presentation, and you will also you will see the links that we talked about are going to be included in that presentation. So you'll get your handouts and everything. And we can also provide a PDF, and Briogeny will be sending that out on behalf of the team. So I don't see any notes from my team telling me that I missed something along the way. I'm checking right now. All right, thank you. And thank you, Libya, and also Neil, for your comments. Everyone have a wonderful day. We appreciate you. Go make this money, spend it how you want to, but make it and sustain your business for the long term, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you in the very near future, and we look forward to seeing your businesses grow and survive and succeed. Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
But
Thank you.
Thanks.